Hey folks, this is a video along some of the same themes as we've been discussing. This is a Harley Benton. They call it a parlor. It's not really quite a parlor. I guess it falls within that range. It's the CF200W. And the reason why I pulled this out for this video is because I was talking to a friend of mine, a recording musician and experimental guitar player. And he was telling me how he's bought 4 or 5 Harley Bentons now, and he likes them at first, then after a few months he just sells them off, ends up not keeping any of them, and that seems to be a theme with these budget guitars. And when I go on to the chat sites, particularly the Facebook pages of IYV and Grote and Firefly, I hear some of the same stories. I heard one person talking about how they bought 7 or 8 IYV guitars and now they're selling them all. I have some theories on why that might be the case. They are good budget guitars. You set them up and they're decent, and you play them, and perhaps you get better, or you get better acquainted with what's available. And it's not a case of falling out of love with the guitar, it's just being ready to take the step up and move into the next tier. As good as these guitars are, and I champion them on various videos, this guitar is about $250, something like that, and it really does rival anything in the 500, 600 range, but it doesn't rival anything in the 1,000 range. It just doesn't. As much as you wish it to, it doesn't. And it's the same with those IYV guitars. They're great alternatives for buying stuff in the $300, $400, $500 range. If you get nice pickups and tuners and set them up, you know, they can rival lots of other brands in the mid-range. But when people say, yeah, it plays as good as my 53 Gibson, it doesn't. Unless their 53 Gibson is not very well set up or something. But sometimes people get hyperbolic about these budget guitars. I'm probably guilty of it too. They're good guitars, they need a setup, and then they punch about $200 above their weight. But that's it. That's it. And then, you know, you might play, say, an IYV or even a Squire or something like that, an older Squire, a used one, be very, very satisfied with it. And then at some point you might start looking sideways and going, I can get a Fender Player for $650 used. I can get a PRS SE for that amount too. So you logically, you know, you gravitate upwards. You acquire a much nicer guitar, and then you sell off a couple of your budget models because you realize, although they punch a couple of $100 up, they don't punch $500, $600, $700, $800 up. A lot of people make those claims in the reviews. It's really not true, unless you do some really expensive and expertise mods to them. You know, it's probably more wishful thinking than anything. So, you know, the whole point of this video is not to worry about it. If you buy, you know, some of these budget guitars and you enjoy them for a while and they fulfill a need for a while, and then you move up, or you move on, or you pass the guitar on to someone else, or perhaps somebody in your family is interested in guitar and you're like, well, I've got this budget guitar, I can, you know, that'd be great to learn on, I'll just pass it on to them. Or you decide to sell it to finance an upgrade, which is what a lot of us do. Let's admit it, even I do that. That's fine, it's all fine, it's all good. It doesn't mean that the Harley Bentons are no good anymore, or they're passé, or they're no longer relevant. They're still, for the money, even though they've gone up a little bit, and they're a little bit harder to acquire with the new shipping, they're still great deals. I mean, this is still a great guitar for what I paid for it. I got it on sale. And it's still here. It's a good guitar, and it's an interesting shape. It's not one that you see all the time. But at some point I might decide to move it on, because, you know, I'm constantly finding guitars I like more, and you know, you're not made of money. you got to sell some to buy some sort of thing. Even if you're not doing it like I'm doing it for business purposes, most guitarists who collect or acquire guitars for their own use tend to move stuff on as they acquire new stuff. It's kind of how it works. It's how you can afford this, to make these upgrades. But you shouldn't look down on the stuff you're moving on from. I've sold a lot of IYV guitars. I thought they were great guitars. I was very tempted to keep them, but I just realized I have other guitars that do the same thing, that I like better. I've still got 2 or 3 of them left, because they're particular ones I really liked out of the bunch, and I still play them a lot. And it's the same with a lot of these brands. Sometimes I hold on to a groat for a few weeks, think I want to keep it, then kind of realize I've got a D'Angelico hollow body. I've got one of those Godin Fifth Avenue hollow bodies. I don't really need, a bunch of budget semi-hollows lying around. I've already got 3 really nice. I've got an Ibanez Artcore as well. I've got 3 really nice hollow body guitars. So you think you might want to keep it, and you just move it on. It doesn't mean that those guitars are rubbish, or they're not worth what you paid for it, or you got taken, and these brands have gone to hell or anything like that. They're still good. They still provide a function. If you grow out of them, it's perfectly fine. It was a good stepping stone for you, and you should enjoy it while you have it, and appreciate what it is for the money that you paid. And when you move it on, somebody else will enjoy it. So kind of a video on that, because it's okay if you're a speculator like I am in these budget models. It's okay to let some go. It's okay to move on from them. It's even okay to stop buying a certain brand because you realize you've hit their ceiling, or you've found something in the same price range that you like a little bit better. It's all part of the discovery, really. It's all part of the process. And, I think it's very, very normal, very common. People go nuts on these brands. I remember when Firefly came out, people bought like 4 or 5 of them, and they probably moved them all on now. But they enjoyed them while they had them. They were good guitars. Some of them were modded up, and maybe people kept 1 or 2 of them. But a lot of them just make it to the used market because eventually people find something they like a bit better, sort of the next tier of guitar making. So that's the deal on that. We all do it, especially us in the guitar community. I hear all your stories. I know you do it too, and it's perfectly normal. Professionals do it. You don't think Clapton and Beck did that? Sort of getting a guitar they liked and moving on older ones to make room for them. It's the most normal thing in the world. So we should just enjoy these things and appreciate what they are for the money we pay. And when it's time to move on or move up, that's all good. That's great too. All right, folks. See you on the next one.